to start off first, obviously it's such a challenging role to take on, not just because fans love Coriolanus, like to hate him, should we say, but also Donald Sutherland, iconic to play him. So was there a particular aspect of that performance that you took that you wanted to try and create an echo of, basically, going forward, or did you want to just treat it as your own?
I think the trap is to try and recreate something that someone else has done really well. Always as an actor, right? Like even if you do a film that has been adapted before and it's a fresh adaptation, whatever it is you're doing, I think the trap to fall into is like trying to copy a performance, or even try and copy like a voice or aspects of a performance. So obviously I wanted to honour what the fans knew about Corio already, but it's also 64 years before what takes place in the later films. So I think it gave me permission to kind of make him my own, and to kind of bring myself to him, while also just giving a little nod to the later precedent that we've already seen. But for me, it all starts and ends with the book. It all comes from the text. It all comes from the script. So yeah, if in doubt, I always just go back to the text and find what it gives me. Which in this case, I think that's what Donald Sutherland probably did as well. And as long as him and I, in our separate movies, both honour Suzanne's writing, Suzanne Collins, the writer, then I think Corio ends up being hopefully authentic and multi-layered.
And was there, Josh, for you, did that mean there was sort of less pressure on you because you were taking on a character that fans knew from the book if they read, but there hadn't been like a screen version of him, just the version of people had in their heads? So
that was definitely a luxury that I had. But I think because it's 64 years before the original, so we have space to play in this kind of new, younger world. It's the same world, but I mean, a lot has happened since this movie took place. And obviously, because it's an existing franchise, it's going to be a huge undertaking for all of us. There is like kind of a lot of buzz around it inherently. But I think everybody did a pretty good job at using the literature as a tool to kind of build these characters from the ground up, which was really a lovely opportunity.
And one of the particular aspects of this film I liked that was from the original films as well, like you shot on location, like they're real sets, they're not like virtual backgrounds or anything, and you can tell it just comes across. So for both of you, I wondered, what was the moment when you walked onto a particular set and you're like, oh damn, I'm in a Hunger Games movie here? Yeah,
I mean, that is a credit to Francis Lawrence as a filmmaker and Nina Jacobson, our executive producer. They're both such filmmakers. They're not making I feel like in England we have this like differentiation between movies and films, which is probably a bit snobby, but like it's how I grew up. You know what I mean? And they're like filmmakers. They're making films, even though they're big and huge and epic, and you would expect there to be a lot of green screen and a lot of CGI. They are making like really like grounded films with gravitas and meaning that hopefully audiences feel they're entertained, but they also walk out thinking, which is what Suzanne Collins is doing with the books. So they're honouring the books by going, this has to be as tangible as possible. So we filmed on location in Berlin and in Poland and West Germany, and used all that kind of like turn of the century, like 19th century neo kind of brutalist architecture, which I think gives it this just like feeling of like kind of an oppressive feeling to the capital, which it should have, because the capital is this place that is like using propaganda to keep the citizens like just working and churning out production. I think it's beautiful to be able to turn up on set and everything feel tangible and not just be like in a studio with a green screen. Like I remember Ian McKellen once said it's like just like the death of imagination when you get there and you're just like, oh man, there's like nothing real here. But yeah, it's I don't know. I feel very lucky to just
it's spectacular fuel.
Is
what I like to call it, to have those practical sets.
That's a much shorter way of saying what I just said.
It also feels like this world is quite heightened. Like you can tell parallels with our world, but it's very different. So like if you're in your bright red suits, it must be like, oh, maybe this isn't as ridiculous as it might look if there was like all digital around. Like
it's easy to invest in it because it feels real. And Trish Somerville, just speaking to the costumes, she's our costume designer, and she created this just like incredible world that nods to the earlier films, which actually happened later, while making it completely fresh. And it's like this like 50s aesthetic, but with like a futuristic technology aspect as well. Yeah,
and the original films created so many iconic moments that fans still remember nowadays. And I feel like Rachel Zegler's performances, the vocal performances at least, especially during her Hunger Games, like just brings the house down, and I imagine it's going to be up there with those kind of performances. I was talking to Francis, and he said like she was performing them on set, and like that was one of the first things she did. That was the first song she did. Like, just did you get to witness that when you were there, and just like be like, oh, just forget what your next lines were?
It was a little concert that we had
every time. Yeah,
and you know she had to do several takes. Obviously, that's the function of you know what we have to do, and every single time she was just nails it. It's very frustrating.
I'm constantly saying, because he's a great singer as well, he's too humble to say it right now, but like both of them together will be like riffing on set, and I'm just like, I have to work so hard to even remotely like sound decent as a singer, and these two just like they'll wake up, drink a bit of coffee, and like bam, it's amazing. But yeah, I mean, there's a few scenes in the film where Corio has to kind of be completely like magnetized towards Lucy Gray and kind of fall for her in real time. And it's just very easy. Like when Rachel sings, like you just like what? Like it's mesmerizing. Yeah.
Well, it's all thanks to Josh that Rachel's in the film now, because she turned it down originally, and Francis was like, as soon as Josh got cast, she was like, oh, I'll come back. So
I don't know. I can't speak to
story?
that.
I don't know that I could speak to that either. I don't know what went on behind the. But if that's what it was, then you know, you're welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
With these kind of the great costumes and all that kind of stuff, was there anything you get to keep a little bit of Panam at home? Did you either sneak away something from set, or just allowed to keep something?
I do have. I mean, I usually little things that I can get away with. It's just tiny stuff that I knew people wouldn't miss, like the Academy book. I still have that. I have like random like pens, and you know I'm kind of like
making Sejanus's little angry notes.
I think I have my dog tags in my backpack.
Oh sweet! I think. Oh yeah. I remember Till, our props master, actually on the last day came and gave me a little like package, and it had my little Academy book and dog tags and the Academy pin. So we didn't actually have to steal much because they very very generously like gifted them to us. Yeah.
Is there a particular moment that you're excited for fans to see realised on screen? What was your memorable moment when you look back on this film in a few years' time and be like, that was great, now that scene, or like that kind of thing you want to see?
The problem is that they're all kind of in the third act.
You know? You don't want to spoil anything.
But I mean, I there's this beautiful moment that you have that I remember watching in real time, being like, this kid's gonna go far. But it was the turnaround when you come back to the bunker after a pretty significant plot event, and you have kind of an emotional breakdown, and I think that's an incredible moment for me. That sort of just really ties up kind of why everything is so tragic.
Cheers, man. Josh loves an emotional breakdown.
Love it.
Josh, if an actor breaks down, Josh is like, yep. It's because you're good at it. It's because you're so good.
I love it.
Yeah, I think for me, like later, like the film is kind of in almost like 3 acts, and almost like 3 acts of like Corio's gradual like breaking bad and turning into the future president. And for me, it's like that 3rd act. There's a moment where you see him break, and you see him kind of all hope begins to fade, and you see what he might become in the future. And for me, that's like a real payoff. That I think fans will be like, oh, I knew it was coming, and yet still broke me. I hope. Yeah.
Do you want to embarrass Josh and say something about something you did on the thing? Or
I'm always complimenting him. Well, no, it's about the character, but yeah, I think. Oh, dude! I mean, you have so many moments. What? That's the one.
I throw a chair.
Yeah, but you don't just throw a chair. You throw it with heartbreaking gusto.
I think we had to. That was kind of a fun scene, because every time I threw it, the desk, it was like a whole desk, and then we had to take like 10 minutes in between
to put it back together.
I'm sorry.
It was like hit the wall and like explode.
You like the Hulk in that moment. No, that moment is like one of my favorite in the movie. I think we had like 250 extras and actors on set that day, and like every time Josh's character stands up and does that and breaks through the ice of the scene, the whole room went silent. Yeah, that was cool. That was very, very cool.
I was wondering though, has this film meant that you can never go blonde now? Because you'd be like, oh, damn, I'm looking at Corio.
Yeah, I think maybe, yeah. I've seen some comments out there that people have sent me like, please go blonde again. And I'm like, no. Like he's like an evil blonde. He's not one of the fun ones. You know? he's like blonde evil guy. I don't know. It's he's not actually evil in this film, but he's soon to be. I had fun as a blonde. It was fun while it lasted.
Fun and evil, yeah.
Yeah.
There's still room for me to go blind.
Yeah, you haven't done it yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone should do it once.
Just finally, I was wondering, what is it about this particular Hunger Games series that has kept it in the public zeitgeist for so very long? Because even if it wasn't for this new film, people still talk about those original movies. What is it? What's the special sauce you feel that makes people?
I think it starts with Suzanne Collins as a writer, as a author. She starts with these huge questions about humanity and society and life on this planet, and she then narrows it down to make it about relationships. So just like even in this like big apocalyptic kind of dystopian world with all these amazing relationships and like really kooky fun characters, it's all underpinned by this big like philosophical question, which is like, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to like wield power? What does it mean to love someone and then lose someone? And I think that's why people keep coming back for this. I think it's the reason why people are ready for another installment and are ready for a look back at a past time in the world. And it's why I love it. It's why when I read the book, I was like, oh my God, there's like so much more of this story to tell, because it is deeper than just the games, the Hunger Games themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Great.
Yeah, I mean,
Go on.
Ditto.
Okay.
Yeah, great, perfect.